Hi, everybody. I did not die after taking rent over at 3 o'clock in the morning, which was terrifying beyond belief. As dark as it was over there, I am never doing that again. Unless I have like a giant can of mace with me that is like the size of this can. So, my update for today on this wonderful, windy Monday. I've been doing pretty good. Um, I think I said last time in that video that, or one of them, that the low FOB diet that my doctor put me on has been doing absolute wonders for my system. Keto is not doing anything for me, but sticking very strictly to this thing and found a bunch of recipes that I don't mind eating and CJ doesn't mind eating, and it's been great. I finally completely over strep, and that medication is done with. And I got real scared there because when I finished taking all of my antibiotics, I started coughing really bad. And I was like, "Oh dear God, why am I coughing?" And my throat was starting to get scratchy again. And turns out that the whole time that I've had strep, apparently my sinuses have also been draining. And so I was like coughing up a bunch of wonderful stuff. And after that, I'm fine. Cough is gone. I feel pretty good. The winter air, uh, when you go outside, you can smell the moisture in the air. And I mean, I don't know if you can experience that like in California or someplace like that in the wintertime. If you were to come here, you'd probably just say, "Oh, it's just so cold." Well, it's so cold here in Kansas because we have, I guess, what you would call a humid winter, where, yeah, the air still dries out a little bit, but it's so much colder because there's so much moisture in the air and the wind seems to constantly be blowing. And you can take a deep breath and it's like you can just smell the moisture outside. And it's like it's really cold, but it's probably the cleanest smelling air you will ever smell in your entire life. So anyone who lives somewhere where it is just perpetually cold, um you guys probably, breathe like this all the time. I don't know if I could deal with it being freezing cold, just day in and day out, but there comes a point where you do get used to it. I used to be a bus driver, so I know that you get used to it. Oh, you talk about a cold job. Uh, but yeah, I'm doing good. I'm getting better at identifying the signs of when I'm actually having a Crohn's attack and when it's just something that's like, oh, I ate something and now I'm gassy, or oh, it's getting close to that time of the month. That's what I'm feeling. And then I have other times where um, the symptoms are so similar between all three that I don't know what's going on. And so I just kind of make an educated guess and take my medicine and stuff. And if it doesn't help, well, obviously it wasn't for that kind of a symptom. Um, but I'm so tired. I've been a lot more active recently because I have been feeling a lot better. I got Christmas lights put up outside. Even though it was just around the door, it was super windy and it was super hard to get them on the nails because they did not want to stay. The wind was determined to keep me from decorating, dang it, and the wind did not win. And I hung up some little garland stuff. See, I ignore my messy house. I did that. And I have been listening to lots of Christmas music, trying to get myself in the mood. Because the last two Christmases that we have had, I was the Grinch. And I was the Grinch because I was constantly in pain and I didn't have any money, and I still don't have any money because I haven't been working. But CJ is wonderful, and he knows that this time of the year is extremely important to me. And he's been really, really amazing about just doing little things for this family. And he's been trying to help me find jobs. And that's been super frustrating because the computer that I'm using right now, I've only had for a few months. And my other computer is having a ton of issues. It takes it about 3 minutes to boot up. And we've taken every game off of it except for like World of Warcraft. And it still takes it forever to boot up. I mean, it's just an old computer. Excuse me. But pretty sure it has my resume on it unless it got deleted with everything else that was on there. And now we have to go and make me a new resume because everybody wants a resume nowadays. And I've been through so many jobs. What I really need to do is just go and write down dates and addresses and phone numbers so that I can keep it all straight in my head, because it always throws off employers when they look at my resume, because I worked for one place at two different times. And so it's almost like they think that I'm lying on my resume when I tell them, oh, well, I worked for this place, and then all of this happened, and then I went and worked for this place for a few years, and then I went and worked for this place for a few years, and then I went back to that first company and worked for them for another like 3.5 years. And it's just very confusing to them, and I don't understand why. I actually bombed a job interview because they just weren't comprehending why I would go back to that company to work. Well, if you left because of an injury and then you decided, well, it's not really worth, me feeling bad to go back and try to do that particular job, so I'll just go someplace else and let myself recover. But now they have all these temporary positions available, and it's a fast and easy way to get money. And hey, you already know how to do everything out there, so let's just hang around for a couple of years. Maybe they'll hire me back on full time because hey, I'm a-okay now. And it just doesn't happen. You know, that's how life goes sometimes. But um thankfully back then I wasn't having all of these problems because unfortunately my family wasn't too understanding about physical ailments that I was suffering from in my early 20s. And that made it like a lot rougher because not only do I have Crohn's disease, but I also have IBS and endometriosis. And endometriosis wrecked my life in my early 20s. I mean, it almost killed me. And I'm not joking about that. I mean, it almost killed me because it created so much pain that I couldn't eat. I was literally like the size of my hand looks like gigantic compared to my face. Like the size of my hand, my palm. If I tried to eat a meal, like a full meal, the size of my palm, I would feel like somebody was trying to kill me from the inside out. Like my sister made me a pancake, and if you were to split my palm into four pieces, I ate a fourth of that pancake and called it good because that's all that I could handle. And I was a beast back in my early 20s. I did kickboxing religiously. I went to the gym religiously. I had a very physical job. And, so it was like I was working out 7 days a week. Because if I wasn't working, I was at the gym, or I was working out at home because I didn't want to get out into the cold weather to go to the gym. But, I was the definition of ripped. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And um they found out that I had problems with I think it's called cystic fibrosis, where you don't produce eggs on your period, you produce cysts. And so I was having issues with ovarian cysts. Um, I had one ruin one of my ovaries. It was so big when it finally went away due to treatment. Um, it was just scarred, tissued over and stuff. And I still have problems with that to this day. Um, the last time that I went to the doctor for them to even look at that, they said that um, my right ovary is literally the only one that is fully functioning. But I've also been told that if I were to remove the left one, then the right one would probably start having issues. So it's just not worth it to me to spend all of that money just to have the same recurring problem. Um, but yeah, I went from being 150 and all muscle to losing all of that muscle and going down to, I think I was between 130 and 140. I know that I weighed myself after I started getting treated for endometriosis, and it said that I weighed 140, and that was after I was able to start eating. And I would not recommend the Lupron Depot shot for anything because it makes you gain weight like you would not believe. I mean, it was terrible. I mean, I was thinking that I was probably going to gain like, maybe 5 pounds, thereabouts. No, I think I probably gained about 50 pounds from that stupid shot. And I'd turn around and try to lose all of it. And I think I got back down to like 160 and just couldn't get back on the bandwagon of working out every single day. I mean, my life was so topsy turvy. And I mean, back then I thought that it was topsy turvy. And now, looking at the way things are, I mean, that was relatively calm. But, you know, my family wasn't very supportive through that whole thing. Um, it went like the chronic pain from the endometriosis, like literally like killing me. They still wanted me to go back to work. It was well, you'll never know if you can make it through an entire day if you don't try. Well, when you can't even walk from your bedroom to the kitchen to get yourself something to eat without, collapsing in the kitchen from pain, um, you can't go to work and pick up, 50-pound boxes and move that jug around and, walk for like 15 miles, across a big friggin' building. I mean, It's just not possible. I mean, not when you're in that kind of a state, and I lost all muscle mass. I mean, it got to the point where I had to have help opening the refrigerator door. I was so weak and frail. I couldn't open a refrigerator door because of the air seal, let alone actually getting inside the thing and then trying to open like a carton of milk. I mean, come on. I mean, no, it's not gonna happen. But yeah, life certainly has not treated me very well. But the endometriosis seems to have kind of faded to the background. I mean, I still have issues with, cysts and stuff like that, but the majority of my problems right now is just Crohn's, and it has so many different, colors and, you know, things to it that make it look like something else that, you know, unless you have a very patient doctor that thinks outside of the box, you're probably going to have the same problems that I did with them diagnosing it. Because looking back, when I was working for Walmart, I had all sorts of stomach issues, and the way that I solved that was to eat one time a day, and that was my lunch break. And then I would drink like a Monster or a Red Bull to give myself, the extra boost of energy. And that was it. I would eat two Lunchables that have like the drink in it, and that would be all that I would eat all day long. I'd come home and CJ would be like, "Hey, you want to go out and get something to eat?" And I'd be like, "No, I'm good," you know. And that job, as a customer service manager, you do a lot of running around, just like I did um, at the distribution center. So, I mean, I was still managing to lose weight because I was eating nothing but crap, and then, doing nothing but walking. I mean, you didn't get to sit down during that job. I mean, if you stood in one place for like a minute, people thought you were slacking off and were calling you over the radio to go do something. Um, but I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that I don't have to go back and do positions like that, because I know that there are people out there in this world that have the same problems that I'm going through, and even worse than what I'm going through, and that's all that they have available. And my heart goes out to those people that can't get away from the distribution work, or they can't find a sit down office job, you know because that's really really hard on you physically. And they have all of these clauses saying that, well, we don't discriminate. Well, you're not exactly understanding either. It's like, yeah, you gave me a job even though I have this problem, but when I have a flare up with this problem, you're not willing to work with me. You just want to fire me like anybody else. And then you want to throw that, well, we don't discriminate against anybody that has any problem. Well, if I was in a wheelchair and you wanted me to go and be on a register, are you going to fire me because I can't stand up because I'm a paraplegic? Because that's kind of how I was feeling, because it's just hard for other people to understand what you're going through when they can't see it. It's an internal disease, and just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it's not there. I mean, you can't see the freaking wind, but you can certainly feel it. But, it's very stressful, It is extremely stressful, you know, and I hope that with this diet and being on this medicine that I'm going to get to the point where I no longer have to worry about thinking about this stuff, because everything that I talked about in this video is on my mind all the time. You know, am I going to be able to hold down a job for a long period of time and actually be able to contribute to this family? You know, I hope so, because that's what a person my age should be doing. But I know people that are, 10 years older than me that jump from job to job to job to job, and it's completely out of their control because it's all health related, and they're constantly in debt. And that's something that CJ and I were talking about the other day, is that he is so determined for us to get out of debt, and yet that's kind of something that tends to follow people around that have this problem. You know, I can't just quit going to the doctor. You know, I can't just quit taking my medicine. You know, it's not something that I can do. I'm not a regular human being. You know, I am high maintenance medically. But if you watch this and you're going through the same thing that I am right now, hang in there. You know, please just hang in there. Cause it took me 2.5 years to start feeling good. And, that's a long time to wait to feel good, when 2 years seem like an eternity. But, stick with it. If you're not getting the results that you want, if you feel like your doctor is jerking you around, find another doctor. I went through 4 to finally find a doctor that, you know, diagnosed me correctly. So, you know, don't don't give up, and don't get discouraged if your family isn't supporting you the way that you need to, because there are other people that will support you. And when you find those people, hang on to them, talk to them, you know. Don't think, well, they don't want to listen to my problems because I have problems all the time. Yeah, because that's part of your life right now. You're going through something huge, and they should be able to support you, because you're having problems with, depression over not being able to do anything, anxiety over, stuff not getting done that's supposed to be getting done, and it's just this constant loop because you want to push yourself to be normal, but you're not normal, and that creates more stress and more anxiety. You know, I'm not saying embrace this problem and use it as a crutch, but definitely don't give up on yourself, because you can get through it. You can find that group that is going to be there for you no matter what, to help you figure out how to, start feeling good, get back out there, renew your mental health, you know, because that's everything that CJ has done for me. At the beginning it was rough because he did not understand. He just thought I didn't want to work. But then when he finally started seeing the pain, the chronic horrible pain, and that, hey, this person literally cannot even function. I quit eating, I quit getting out of bed, and that was finally the eye opener to, hey, she is not faking it. This is real, and I should be taking this more serious. Sometimes it takes a little bit for other people to realize, oh, it's just not an upset stomach, it's just not gas, this is not depression, even though that can add to the symptoms, because depression is painful just by itself. But hang in there, I'm rooting for you, even though we've never crossed paths. I'm rooting for you, and I support you in your endeavor to get better, because you can get better. And I hope everybody has had a wonderful Monday, even though Mondays suck and should not exist. But have a good week, everybody, and I will update you in my next video.